Hi YouTube. In this video, I'm going to talk about adding fractions and subtracting fractions. So let's first focus on adding fractions, and we'll go through the steps and then we'll look at a few examples. So the steps are: 1, find a common denominator, and there's a couple different ways I'll show you to do this. And then 2, add the numerator. So the top part of the fraction, you want to add those. 3, we're going to keep the denominator the same, and then once we've added our fraction, we want to simplify it as necessary. So let's take a look at a few examples to see how you do this. All right, in our first example, we're going to add 1/2 plus 3/4. So to find a common denominator, what we can do is find the least common multiple between the two denominators. So let's take our first denominator, 2, and we can do 2 times 1. Well, that's going to be 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. And we could keep going, but I'm going to stop here and I'll show you why in a moment. Okay. And then we take our other denominator, 4, and if I go 4 times 1, well, I get 4. Okay, so our least common denominator here is going to be, or least common multiple between the two is 4, so that's our denominator that we want to find. And to find that, we want to keep 1/2 the same, but change it so it has a denominator of 4. And if we multiply any number by 1, we get the same number. So what we actually need to do here is we're going to multiply the top by 2 over 2. Now you may be saying, well, Tim, you just said multiply by 1. But the thing is, when you multiply by 2 over 2, any number divided by itself is 1. So we are keeping 1/2 the same. We're just changing the denominator, and the numerator is going to be 1 times 2, so it's going to be 2 over 4, now plus 3 over 4. Okay, so now we're going to our next step. We're going to add the numerators, so 2 plus 3 is going to equal 5, and then we keep the denominator the same. We keep it as 4. So now we could leave this as 5/4, and typically I do just leave it as 5/4 as a solution. If you do want to make it an improper fraction, we'll divide 5 by 4. So 4 goes into 5 once, okay? And we have 5 minus 4, and we're left with our remainder of 1. So we can write this as a mixed number as 1 and 1/4. So that's another way to do it. Again, I like to keep it as an improper fraction, and I'll do that for the rest of the examples in this video. All right, in our second example of adding fractions, we're going to add 5/6 plus 7/8. Now, we could find the least common multiple between the denominators, but one quick and kind of dirty way to find a common denominator between the two is just to multiply both of the denominators together. So I'm going to do 6 times 8, and that's going to give me 48, which actually isn't the least common multiple between the two, but it's going to help me do this quickly. And maybe I'll go through both methods here. So I'm going to do 5/6 to get the denominator to be 48. I have to multiply 6 times 8. So that means to keep the fraction the same, I have to multiply the numerator by 8 as well. And then for 7/8, to get the denominator 48, I have to multiply the denominator by 6, and likewise I have to multiply the numerator by 6 as well. So 5 times 8 is 40 over 48 plus then 7 times 6 is 42 over 48. So we're going to now add the numerator. So 40 plus 42 is 82. And keep the denominator the same, which is 48. Okay, I notice both are even numbers, so I'm going to start dividing by 2. And I do have a video on divisibility rules in case you want to check that out. But I'm just going to, again, quickly work through this. You don't have to necessarily try and find the thing that you need to divide the most. So 82 divided by 2 is going to be 41. And 48 divided by 2 is 24. Now, 24 is divisible by 3. 41 is not. Um, so I'm actually going to look at this. Let's see. Anything else? I couldn't divide it by 7. Couldn't divide this by 7. 11. So I'm as simplified as I can go here. Another way we could do this, if we take 5/6 plus 7/8, is we could find the least common multiple. So we're going to do 6 times 1, which is 6. 6 times 2, which is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. And I'm looking while I'm doing this. Are any of these divisible by 8? No. But 6 times 4 is 24. And I know 24 is divisible by 8. So 24 is going to be my least common multiple between the two. And so I'd have to multiply 5/6 by 4/4. And 7/8 by 3/3. Let me fix that. So 5/6 or 5 times 4 is 20 over 24. Seven times 3 is 21 over 24. And if we add these up, we get 41 over 24. Okay, so same result. Now, either of these methods are perfectly fine. I'm going to stick with this method here of just multiplying the denominators together for the rest of my examples because I think it's a quicker and more efficient method of doing it. All right, in our third example of adding fractions, we're going to add the fraction 4/9 plus 3/4. Again, to find a common denominator, I'm just going to take the denominator, so 9 and 4, and multiply them together. And I want a common denominator of 36. Okay, so I'm going to take 4/9 and I'm going to multiply it by 4/4. And I'm going to take 3/4 and I'm going to multiply that by 9/9. That'll change both of the fractions so they have a denominator of 36. Okay, so 4 times 4 is 16. 9 times 4 is 36. Plus 3 times 9 is 27. 4 times 9 is 36. So we're going to add 16 plus 27. So add the 6 to the 27. That's going to give you 33 plus 10 is 43. And then we're going to keep the denominator of 36 the same. Okay, so we got 43 over 36. I didn't go ahead and try and simplify it because I know if I'm looking at this, it's not divisible by 3 in the top. It's not divisible by 7. It's not divisible by 11 or 13. And the top is an odd number. The bottom is an even number. If you want more information on divisibility rules, I'll leave a link to that in the description. Okay, now let's talk about subtracting fractions. So this is pretty much the same. We want to first start off by finding a common denominator. Then we want to subtract the numerator, so we subtract the top part of the fraction, but we keep the denominator the same, and then at the end we simplify as necessary. And I think this is best illustrated with a few more examples. Okay, in our first example of subtracting fractions, we're going to take 1/2 and we're going to subtract 3/4 from that. Okay, now in the adding example, we're adding 1/2 and 3/4, and we saw that we had a common denominator of 4. But in this case, I'm just going to multiply the denominators together, and then we can simplify once we've got our difference. So we're going to do 2 times 4, which is 8. So we want a common denominator of 8 here. All right, so the first fraction, I'm going to multiply by 4 over 4. And then the second fraction, I'll multiply by 2 over 2. And that's going to give me a denominator of 8 on both of these. So what we're going to end up with is 1 times 4, which is 4, over 2 times 4, which is 8. So 4/8 minus, then we have 3 times 2, which is 6, over 4 times 2, which is 8. So we're going to do 4 minus 6, that's going to be a negative 2, over 8. We're going to keep the denominator the same. Now, both 2 and 8 are divisible by 2, so we can divide out 2 from the top and the bottom. And we can get negative 1 over 4. Sometimes you'll also see this written as just with the negative in front, negative, and then 1/4. And they're both the same because a negative divided by a positive is a negative, or 1/4 times essentially negative 1 is also negative. So your solutions could be written either way. All right, in our second example of subtracting fractions, we have 5/6 and we're subtracting 7/8. So again, we first want to find a common denominator. So I'm going to do 6 times 8. I'm going to take the two denominators and multiply them together, and that will give me 48. Okay, so I want to multiply the first fraction by 8 over 8. That'll give me a denominator of 48 for that first fraction. And then I want to multiply the second fraction by 6 over 6. That's going to give me a denominator of 48 for the second fraction as well. So we do 5 times 8, which is 40, over 6 times 8, which is 48. And we're subtracting 7 times 6, which is 42, over 8 times 6, which is 48. And when we do that, 40 minus 42 is negative 2 over 48. Okay. Both negative 2 and 48 are divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by 2. And I'm going to get negative 1 over 24, which also you might see with just the negative out front, negative 1/24, like so. All right, in our third example of subtracting fractions, we have the fraction 3/4, and we're subtracting 4/9 from 3/4. Okay, so we want a common denominator, so I'm going to take 4 and multiply it by 9, so 4 times 9. And that's going to be 36. And you might notice that all I really need to do, I don't even really need to do this step here. What I can do is I can just take this denominator and multiply the top and the bottom of this fraction by that denominator. So multiply the top and the bottom of the first fraction by 9. And then take this denominator 4 and multiply the top and the bottom of this fraction here by 4. And that's going to give me a common denominator. Okay, so if I do that out, I get 3 times 9, which is 27, over 4 times 9, which is 36. And then we're going to subtract 4 times 4, which is 16, over 9 times 4, which is 36. And that's going to give me 27 minus 16 is going to be 11 over 36. So 11 is a prime number. meaning it's only divisible by 1 and 11. So we got to check, is 36 divisible by 11? Well, 33 would be, but 36 is not. So this is as far as we can go in terms of simplifying the difference here. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I want to thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.